A very good evening to you all. What we are going to discuss today is how to read in the CAT verbal section. Now, in the last video, we had discussed what all to read. Now, that included topics like philosophy, psychology, sociology, economics, art, science, literature, and fiction. Now, these topics, as I discussed, you need to build familiarity on them, right? So, there are different queries that students have. The first one is, how should I read when I practice for CAT RCs? Second, how should I read when I actually give my exams? Right? Now these two are very correlated, but then they are slightly different in terms of approach. So I'll be taking them one at a time. Right? So have a look here. So what we're trying to understand here is how to read. Right? So let me take a standard paragraph. Let's say you are reading a CAT editorial or a newspaper editorial, anything, right? So when you start a paragraph, when you enter into a paragraph, try to identify the subject. Now, that means try to question yourself, what did I enter into? What have I started reading? What did I enter into? So suppose there's an editorial which talks about Jharkhand tourism. तो जैसे तुम पढ़ना स्टार्ट करोगे, you will be able to identify कि कौन सा टॉपिक तुमने स्टार्ट किया है, right? Now, once you have got the sense of what you have entered into, then do something what we call selective reading. Start reading fast. The things will automatically get connected to the subject because you have already identified it, right? When you come to the end of the paragraph, again ask yourself a question: what did I read? Now, this is something which will form the theme, right? So the question you are asking in the end is, what did I read? So if you see, when you start, identify the subject. When you end the paragraph, just try to identify the theme. Yes. So this complete thing, identification of the subject along with the theme, is what we call central idea, and this is called central idea based reading. So the way it works is, let's say you start an editorial, you read a paragraph. Once you read a paragraph, at the end of it you know what the subject was and what the theme was, right? So let's say I read a paragraph, let me give you an example. Suppose there is an editorial about pollution issues in Ranchi, right? So अगर अपन सोचें ये आर्टिकल लिखना है तो कैसे लिखेंगे? As a writer, you'll think about you'll think about a structure, है ना? You'll start with, let's say, by describing a few lines about the city. Then you'll give a few lines about the different kinds of industries and infrastructure in the city. Then you might talk about the pollution issues in the city, the problems faced. And in the next paragraph, you might be talking about the different sources of these pollutions. In the next one, you might talk about what the government and the society is doing to resolve these issues. Then you might talk about the possible recommendations, right? So there's a flow to any given article. Now, as a reader, when someone reads this article, he or she should be able to identify that flow. Now, how does the person reading identify the flow? It is by this central idea-based reading. So when, as a reader, I start reading, I start a paragraph and I feel, okay, what did I enter into? I entered into something called pollution in Ranchi, right? Okay, I complete the paragraph and then I say, okay, what about it? What did I read about it? So I read about the different types of pollution. Yes? So the central idea based reading is something different from paraphrasing, in which you try to read and understand each and every line. Here, how things happen and why did it happen is not something very important. You are more focused about the what's, right? What did I read? What did just happen? What was important? So trying to identify the points as you move along a given passage is the way you need to read. One, it helps you in building a stronger memory, a stronger recollection of points that you have read in the flow of the passage, because you need to read fast. And two, it also helps you remove the unnecessary thing. Selective reading का मतलब है there might be lots of jargons, lots of things given which do not matter a lot to you, right? तो उनको हटाने में भी help करता है, ठीक है? So this is the method. When you are practicing, whenever you start a paragraph, identify the subject, identify the theme, and keep moving. Clear? So lots of people say the way it works is, at the start of the paragraph, read the first line, and try to understand वो क्या था. जल्दी जल्दी आगे बढ़ो, read the last line and think अब क्या था, है ना? So the way it works, अब CAT comprehension में कैसे होगा in the actual exam hall, the way we do it. I start a passage, ठीक है? Let's say the passage has 3 paragraphs, alright? So I'll just now elaborate how to attempt a comprehension, how to read it in the actual exam. Just a moment. Now see, what happens in the actual exam hall, you stare at a passage, right? Now let's say the passage has 3 paragraphs, P1, P2 and P3. So you need to read this passage, and on the basis of this passage you will be answering a few questions, right? So when I read, I have 2 points in my mind. I enter, I end, I enter, I end, है ना? तुरंत से पढ़ा subject, theme, subject, theme, subject, theme, right? So this is central idea 1, central idea 2, central idea 3. इतना लिखते हुए, इतना short में, you don't need to frame sentences. Let's say 4 to 6 words each, है ना? इतना लिखते हुए अगर आगे बढ़ोगे ना, तो क्या होगा जब तुम पैराग्राफ या पैसेज को एंड करोगे, you'll have a very clear snapshot of what all have you read, है ना? This is the key to reading fast, not getting stuck with the difficult things in a passage, and at the same time becoming very proficient in solving comprehensions, right? So this was the core of how to read, how to prepare when you are preparing for CAT. One more thing I would like to add on is when you are preparing, जब भी तुम पढ़ रहे हो, let's say विकिपीडिया से पढ़ रहे हो, novels पढ़ रहे हो, editorials पढ़ रहे हो, always keep an eye on contextual word learning. Now, central idea based reading important है, but then अगर आप language को ही नहीं समझ पाओगे अच्छे से, तो you'll never be able to become an expert in reading articles, right? So contextual word learning का मतलब होता है जब तुम let's say कोई पैराग्राफ पढ़ रहे हो, तुमको कोई word नहीं आया, do not directly try to go to the dictionary and look at the meaning. Try to guess the meaning. So whenever you are stuck, the first step is guess the meaning of the word. Now ये क्यों? क्योंकि exam hall में nobody is going to come there and help you out. वहाँ पे dictionary नहीं होने वाली है, ठीक है? But अगर आपको guess करने की habit होगी, guess का मतलब क्या होता है? Sentence को पूरा पढ़ के समझना कि वहाँ पर context के हिसाब से उस word का या उस phrase का क्या meaning हो सकता है, ठीक है? So that will tone your mind in a proper manner. So first step guess, and then of course use a dictionary. In your exam prep, a dictionary should be your best friend. तो उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. I'm not saying do not use a dictionary, but I'm always saying whenever you get stuck, try to guess, try to identify the context when a word is being used. Now this will help. All right. So this was about how to read. Let me summarize this once. The reading has to be central idea based, right? Enter a paragraph, leave a paragraph. Be careful. बीच में जल्दी जल्दी पढ़ो, है ना? When you are preparing, make sure in a passage. Try to guess the meanings of the word or the phrases that you are not able to identify. Keep a dictionary handy. अगर वो नहीं समझ में आ रहा जो word या phrase आपने guess कर लिया है, still नहीं sure नहीं हो, dictionary निकालो और उसको check करो. इस तरीके से जब तुम वो given topics जो हमने discuss किए थे उस पे work करोगे consistently, maybe half an hour daily, maybe 1 hour daily, depending on how much time you can spend on English reading, है ना? तो by the time 2-4 months pass, you will see कि your reading appetite becomes far stronger than it was ever before. It's all about toning your mind in a proper fashion. Just one simple example to end. Just think about you reading an article on Hume's philosophy right now. The word itself scares you, most of us, right? Hume का philosophy अभी समझ में आएगा नहीं आएगा, we are not sure. But just for example, let's say you have been spending 1 whole month on reading such philosophical theories. And then I give you, let's say 50th article which is on Hume's philosophy. You'll be far more confident कि तुम उसको समझ पाओगे. Reason, context तुमको better पता होगा philosophy का. Second, word meaning से familiar होगे जो उस तरह की theories में use होते हैं. Right? So make yourself stronger. This is a very smart way of preparing yourself for CAT comprehensions. All the best. Thank you so much.